Let's talk about DeepSeek because it is mind-blowing and it is shaking this entire industry to its core. The emergence of DeepSeek now putting pressure on the U.S. tech names. We told you all about it last week in Davos. The buzz started growing about DeepSeek's latest AI model being more efficient while running on a lot less advanced NVIDIA chips. Released last week, it's already being called what is a major breakthrough as the app shows its work, its reasoning, it answers users' prompts. I, by the way, was spent basically all weekend playing with it. It is the number one app, I believe, on Apple right now. The product overtaking ChatGPT today, as that on the App Store that way. DeepSeek.
Isn't that interesting? The first day that Trump takes power, right? And he mentions about investing in into AI, and also recently he revealed that he'll be investing what was it 500 billion towards towards AI. China decides to come out with this, and mind you, and I'm sure they had this app. This app was already created. It's almost as if they were waiting for the right moment to launch this app, and apparently this app is taking over. It's the number one app on the Apple Store. I think that's crazy. That's just like when TikTok came out. That also broke records, and that also did affect the U.S. economy in some fashion. Um, but let's continue. Let's continue on this.
Which was created by a Chinese hedge fund manager, also capturing the attention of leaders, as we mentioned at the World Economic Forum last week in Davos.
We should take the development out of China very, very seriously.
What we found is that DeepSeek, which is the leading Chinese AI lab, their model is actually the top performing, or roughly on par with the best American models.
If the United States can't lead in this technology.
And like I mentioned earlier, isn't that interesting when Trump takes power and he talks about investing 500 billion towards AI? China just decided to slap this on pretty much on our face, like take this, right? And 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 the fact that it took them less chip to create this, I mean I think that's fascinating. And apparently, the technology is better than what we have now, which is also interesting and somewhat scary. So it just shows you that we have a lot of work to do.
We're going to be in a very bad place geopolitically.
Hmm.
Now, you can take a look right now at the AI-related stocks. So NVIDIA, ARM, AMD, Microsoft, Meta, interestingly, on that list, given its open source. We got to talk about the open source, closed source bit of this as well.
And but then that's a shocker to see NVIDIA down by more than 12% right now.
Absolutely. And then you have global chip stocks also in the red across the board, ASML Holdings and others. There is the question, I will say, Alexander Wang made the point last week, and it's become sort of the question mark about all of this, which is, he suggested on our air that it is possible that they were using some of the highest performing NVIDIA chips, perhaps as many as 50,000 of them, right, to build this model. Now, and they weren't supposed to have those chips.
Right.
If
so
that's true,
not the size.
The dynamic is different. No. If it's not true, then maybe all bets are off. It's possible, by the way, even if it is true, meaning even if they use those chips to create this, or at least partially to create this, it is still a significantly more efficient and better model. I think everybody agrees that right this moment, I mean, I don't know if did you get the play? It is mind-blowing.
It looks really great. I mean, it feels like it's open source, so people can test this out themselves.
But I can tell you all the tests.
And I think the fact that China made this an open source, I think it's wise. It's very wise, intelligent for them to do so that they can get more consumers towards their app. And the fact that this app is plunging all the other stocks, including some of the some of our top stocks. I mean, it's mind-boggling. Honestly, it's quite incredible. And again, for me, I mean, all of this is about timing. It's just about timing, and I think for China, it was a perfect timing to launch this app right when Trump took power, mentioned about boosting AI and investing $5 billion towards this. And China, mind you, they didn't invest that much into this app. It was apparently I heard it was a couple millions. Hopefully they will go over it. But let's continue this.
That I do just to see whether I
questions
think
you ask?
whether I think the writing is better, whether I think that it can answer certain questions.
Yeah.
I mean, it was not only faster, it was more human. The reasoning is shocking.
Dang,
there were
that's
moments
scary.
where it was like, oh my god,
So it was more human.
we are so much. You could feel the step change as a person. It was. I will also say as.
I personally haven't played with the app. If you guys have, let me know in the comments. What should what do you take from it? What do you think about it? Is it more sufficient? Is it more powerful, or is it more beneficial than ChatGPT? Let me know in the comments about that.
Exciting as it was, there was an element where I became scared because I thought, oh, I had the opportunity to talk to all these people last week, and they all said the future is here, and da 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 da. And then you sort of see it, and you go, oh, okay, I feel you, in a different sort of visceral way. So yes, I think this is all happening at a level that when you mark your sort of AI history timeline in life, I think this past week, today, and everything else will be on it.
I think Mark Andreessen put it really succinctly and really smartly when he said that this feels like the Sputnik moment for the AI race, where China is really stepping in. So not just what it can do, but what it means for American dominance in AI, what it means for the Chinese being able to step in, and to have the Chinese actually open sourcing it, meaning that is going to be what goes around
Right.
the world, and to have the cost factors that go into this. Huge step up and change, and puts us a little bit on our back foot in trying to figure out what this means.
And mind you, China did the same thing with TikTok. I mean, it could have been a closed source, but they made it an open source, meaning that obviously more consumers on it, and also you guys have to think about it. Cybersecurity. One of the reasons why our government, the U.S. government, wants to ban TikTok is because there are backdoors or loopholes that China could take advantage of when it's collecting people's information, influencing the population. So there's many things that cybersecurity related that has to be watched, and then and also our government has to take note of these things and play their part for our security. And the fact that they made this app also an open source, I mean, hey, it's gonna be, is the U.S. government gonna ban this? Are they gonna put some sort of restriction on this? We'll see. But obviously, there's a global war when it comes to AI, just like anything else, honestly. So I just thought that was interesting.
I actually wonder, Satya Nadella, would he tell you again today that he's still good for the $80 billion?
I think they still are good for the $80 billion. I think actually everybody's. I think the processing power issue is there's an element of which you're going to still have to have the current sort of efforts underway. I think the question longer term. I think it's a longer term question.
Can you recoup your investment? I mean, can you recoup your investment if that's the case?
Well, I think this is the big issue, and I think.
Who's going to pay for it if they get it?
At one point,
cheaper
and I don't know
elsewhere?
if we talked about it on Squawk or it might have been on Worldwide Exchange, one of the things that I was hearing that was fascinating out there is there were so many CEOs who were saying, you know what, I'm using OpenAI and I'm playing around with Anthropic to figure out what I need to do. And then, which is expensive for us, and we don't really love that. So we're playing around with what we need, and then we're trying to figure out how much of it we can replicate using Llama, which is the Meta version of it, but it's open source and effectively, therefore, free.
Well, and you can have some control over it too, as being open source. You can do things that you end up this way.
Right.
You're not so beholden to OpenAI.
But that, to me, that's the issue. So here we have a situation where if people are already starting to move towards open source models, and I don't think that have been talked about publicly, really.
Right.
That's a whole kind of paradigm change.
Just back to the question on Microsoft. Microsoft shares down 6.8% this morning. Is there a point where such?
And honestly, who wouldn't want to use an app like that? For free. I would. And the fact that it's open source, why would I pay extra for software that is not as powerful and efficient like this Chinese app that just came out? So I think the fact that they're making it free, for them, it's beneficial. Again, don't forget about the cybersecurity when it comes to cybersecurity with these applications.
Just says, okay, maybe I'm not good for the 80 billion.
I don't know. I think he's still going to need this technology over the next 5 years. The question is, can he go? Is he going to start using DeepSeek? By the way, there's a separate question, which is, if we think we have a problem with TikTok.
Oh, I thought this instantaneously.
Right. If we think we have a problem with TikTok, do we have a problem with this? Now, interestingly, this is an open source model.
You can take it and do your own stuff with
put it on your own.
So they're not
computers.
owning your,
right.
Unless there's something in it that we don't understand.
Right. They talk.
Again, and then that's exactly what I was mentioning. Would this be an issue for the government? The fact that it's from China, and it's open source, which is great. Meaning you could, like they just mentioned, you could take it, do whatever you want with it. But again, you got to ask your questions when it comes to cybersecurity. Are there loopholes? Are there Trojans? Are there viruses? Are there other elements within this app that we can't see that the Chinese potentially could use to gather information? Other cybersecurity risk that they could implement within this app. So that's also something that I think our government is gonna have to look into. But kudos to China. It's a race, and whoever can win the race by any means necessary, they're gonna do that. But it's just like I've been saying, we just have to step it up. Our education. When it comes to education, especially towards cybersecurity, we just have to, invest the education, not just the money, but overall the education. It's definitely important. So let's continue this.
Talk about Project Texas
But I thought the
you can
same
have it on
thing.
your own.
TikTok looks like poser's play compared to what this could potentially be. Although this is this is OpenAI, so you can take it and source it yourself and figure something out from it. So you're not storing it on their servers.
Anyway, it's fascinating. I think I don't know. We should call Satya, get him back, because the truth is, he does need some form of AI, for his Copilot and all of his other software.
Sure. But does it have to be?
Does it have to be OpenAI?
And is there a way to do it more cheaply and not have to spend $80 billion?
I think the question is probably that over
Actually,
time,
500 billion.
less money. I don't know if you saw. He put out a tweet just overnight called I didn't know about this. It's called the Jevons Paradox, and he links to a Wikipedia page, which I'll read to everybody if you'd like. In economics, the Jevons Paradox, sometimes referred to as the Jevons effect, occurs when technological progress increases the efficiency with which a resource is used, reducing the amount of necessary for any one use, but the falling cost of use induces increased demand, enough that resources used is increased rather than reduced.
Could be, but does he still need to spend $80 billion to get to the same place? Could he spend $50 billion and still get the same out of it if you can find ways to do this more cheaply, if the architecture structure is such that you can actually get more efficient with all of these things, maybe he doesn't have to spend the $80 billion to get to that point.
I think he may still need to, just because of the abundance of how much processing power. Look, the guys who are, this DeepSeek, for the most part, people are now running on their own laptops and doing all sorts of things, so their computers are not overwhelmed. But if you decided you were doing this in the cloud, or there was going to be a cloud-based version of it, you'd still need a lot of processing power. I will say, just on top of his tweet, and this was just 5 hours ago, he says, the Jevons paradox strikes again. As AI gets more efficient and accessible, we will see its use skyrocket, turning it into a commodity
Correct.
we just can't get enough of, though. And so they just can't get enough of piece of it may be the thing that hopefully helps them longer term, but still, I think it's a very,
If
it's a big question.
Right, and if you're doing it so that consumers are basically doing this for free,
Right.
it's just who's paying the way on this? Is there going to be, are companies going to pay? Are they going to find cheaper ways to run some of this stuff themselves too?
Right.
But yeah, let me know what you guys think about this DeepSeek app from China. Do you think it's good? Is it good for the economy? Is it good for the world? Is it good for our security? I mean, it's free, right? Open source. Should the government have some sort of restriction on it? Let me know what you guys think below the comments. All right, don't forget to like and subscribe. Deuces.